Okay, let's unpack this. Picture a near future where the plates of a growing global population demand more high-quality proteins, specifically seafood. But at the same time, the wild resources of our oceans are under unprecedented stress.
Absolutely.
Did you know, for instance, that right now, even in well-regulated areas like European waters, over 90 species, including sharks and rays, are considered at risk?
Wow, 90 species. That's a lot. It's a stark indicator, isn't it? We simply cannot continue harvesting from the wild at the current rate.
Exactly.
That pressure on wild fish stocks isn't just about numbers either. It fundamentally disrupts marine ecosystems, threatening biodiversity and the intricate food webs that sustain ocean life.
Yeah, the whole balance gets thrown off.
And the challenge is global. Differing regulations and economic pressures across regions can, unfortunately, lead to practices that undermine sustainability elsewhere.
It gets messy.
It really does. We're in a situation where relying solely on wild catch is pushing us toward a crisis point.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This creates a massive challenge for feeding a planet that's projected to reach nearly 10 billion people by 2050. How do we meet that rising demand for protein without devastating marine environments?
That's the million-dollar question.
That's the vital question. And the answer increasingly points to fishery farming or aquaculture.
Right.
We've been deep diving into the latest information and cutting-edge developments in this field. And what we've found isn't just an industry, it's rapidly becoming a crucial, technologically advanced project for the future of global food security and environmental sustainability.
Yeah, our mission today is basically to guide you through what we've uncovered. We want to show you why aquaculture is essential, what makes a project successful in practice.
With the nuts and bolts.
Exactly. And the significant investment opportunity it represents, and perhaps most compellingly, how technology is utterly transforming this field.
Shifting it
from traditional methods to highly controlled, efficient, and truly sustainable operations.
This isn't just a forecast, this is happening now. Aquaculture is poised for explosive growth and impact in 2025 and beyond.
Definitely. So let's start by really drilling down into the global food challenge we face and why aquaculture has transitioned from being an option to being the essential solution.
Okay. We touched on the problem. Demand for food, especially protein, is colliding head-on with the undeniable reality of overfishing. The simple fact is our wild fish stocks are being depleted faster than they can reproduce. It's just not sustainable.
Right. And this relentless pressure on natural fisheries has cascading effects. Removing too many fish from the ecosystem fundamentally alters food webs, impacting everything from plankton to apex predator.
Everything's connected.
It's a major driver of the marine biodiversity loss we're witnessing.
And it's complicated, too. The lack of uniform international fisheries management means efforts to protect stocks in one area can be undermined by unsustainable or even illegal fishing practices elsewhere.
Right, and that catch ends up in the global supply chain anyway.
Exactly.
So this context makes aquaculture's role critical. By cultivating fish, shellfish, and other aquatic life in managed environments, we create a controlled, reliable, and scalable source of seafood.
Controlled and reliable. Those are the key words.
It means we can meet that rising demand without continuing to, strip mine the oceans. It's about decoupling protein production from the fragility of wild ecosystems.
And the significance stretches far beyond just protein production. Economically, it's a huge engine.
Oh, yeah.
It directly addresses demand, yes, but it also creates significant job opportunities, stimulates support industries.
And offers economic diversification. Yeah. Particularly valuable for economies looking to reduce reliance on volatile sectors like oil, for instance.
Good point. Environmentally, when managed correctly, the benefits are substantial too.
Right. It reduces pressure on wild populations. Yeah. That's the big one. Plus, innovative approaches are exploring waste repurposing.
Like turning fish waste into fertilizer.
Exactly. Turning nutrient-rich fish waste into valuable products like fertilizer, creating a more circular system.
Makes sense. And let's not forget the nutrition farmed fish provides essential protein, vitamins, and those critical omega-3 fatty acids vital for human health.
Often just as effectively as wild-caught fish, yeah.
Right.
And the data backs this up. Aquaculture is already the fastest growing food production sector globally.
It's growing. Wow.
Yeah. And experts estimate production needs to more than double by 2050 just to keep pace with population growth and changing dietary preferences.
Double by 2050? That's staggering.
It is. That figure underscores the sheer scale of both the challenge and the opportunity this field presents.
So we understand why aquaculture is indispensable. The next logical question is, how does it actually work, and what are the non-negotiable fundamentals for making a project successful?
Okay. At its heart, fishery farming is about cultivating aquatic organisms in controlled or semi-controlled conditions, rather than hunting them in the wild.
So farming, not fishing.
Pretty much. This can range from ponds and net cages in coastal waters to sophisticated tanks on land or enclosed recirculating systems. The key difference is active management of the environment and the organism's life cycle.
Okay, so it's not just putting fish in water and hoping for the best. What are the absolutely critical factors for success? What do you really need?
Well, the first and arguably most vital is environmental control.
The water.
Exactly. Different species have very specific needs for temperature, dissolved oxygen levels, salinity, and pH. Maintaining these parameters consistently is paramount.
How easy that?
It requires constant monitoring and effective water quality management, including filtration systems. Without the right water, nothing else matters.
Right, healthy water is the foundation. What else?
Health management is huge. Just like with any form of livestock farming, preventing and controlling diseases and pests is essential.
To protect the stock.
To protect the stock
Yeah.
and ensure viability, yeah. This involves good biosecurity measures, careful monitoring, and sometimes therapeutic interventions.
And it has to make business sense, obviously.
Absolutely. The business essentials are non-negotiable. You need thorough market research. Understand demand for the specific species you plan to farm.
Know your market.
A robust business plan covering costs, revenue projections, financial sourcing, all crucial. Navigating the regulatory landscape to secure necessary licenses and permits is a significant step too.
The red tape?
Can be, yeah. And finally, having a detailed operational plan for day-to-day management is key. You need a plan.
So market, money, permits, and a plan. What about the actual operation, the day-to-day stuff?
That falls under operational needs. This includes sourcing high-quality, nutritionally appropriate feed, which is often a significant operating cost.
I think it's a big one.
Huge. You need skilled staff who understand the biology of the species and the technology of the farm. Adequate funding is required not just for startup, but for ongoing operations.
Can't run out of cash.
Definitely not. And once you have the product, effective marketing and appropriate pricing strategies are needed to get it to market profitably.
Makes sense. And to do all of this, you need quite a bit of physical infrastructure, right? Like the actual equipment.
You certainly do. Depending on the system, this could involve tanks, ponds, or cages, sophisticated water pumps and pipes, and vital filtration and purification systems.
Filters are key.
Absolutely. You'll need sensors for real-time monitoring of water parameters, aeration systems to ensure sufficient oxygen, and often automated systems for feeding and water circulation.
Automation helps.
A lot. Then there's the equipment for handling fish during sorting or harvesting, secure storage for feed and equipment, and post-harvest infrastructure like chilling, freezing, and transport. It's a complex engineered system.
Wow. It sounds like a significant undertaking requiring expertise across multiple disciplines. Engineering, biology, business.
It really is.
Which naturally leads to the fundamental question for potential investors or operators. Is this actually profitable? Can you make money doing this?
So the bottom line, based on the market dynamics we're seeing, yes, aquaculture is widely considered a highly profitable and sustainable venture. The core driver is that strong, consistent demand for seafood globally. This is often bolstered by government support in many regions.
Governments want it.
Yeah, viewing domestic aquaculture as a strategic path to reducing import reliance and enhancing national food security.
You mentioned some compelling data points earlier that really highlight this opportunity. Can you share those?
We did. Looking at the market, annual domestic production often falls significantly short of total consumption. For instance, some data shows production around, say, 180,000 metric tons in a market consuming closer to 300,000 metric tons annually.
So a big gap.
A huge gap, meaning well over a third of the supply is currently imported in some places. That significant gap, a self-sufficiency below 65% in some areas, represents a clear, immediate market opportunity for domestic production to fill.
That's a powerful indicator of untapped potential right there.
Exactly. And on a global scale, market forecasts project continued strong growth, with compound annual growth rates exceeding 6% through 2030.
6% growth year on year.
Yeah. The trend lines are unequivocally positive for the sector's profitability.
Okay, this next part is where things really shift into the future. We're talking about the cutting-edge innovations that aren't just improving aquaculture, but fundamentally revolutionizing it. This is where technology is changing what's possible.
This is the exciting frontier. Absolutely. Where the field moves beyond traditional farming into a realm of high-tech efficiency, sustainability, and precision protein production. There are some incredible developments underway right now.
Let's dive into some of those. Feed sources have always seemed like a challenge. How do you feed farmed fish sustainably without just catching other wild fish?
That's a crucial point. Traditionally, feed for species like salmon often relies on fish meal and oil derived from wild-caught forage fish like sardines or anchovies.
Right, the little fish.
Yeah. And this creates that unfortunate paradox where aquaculture, meant to reduce pressure on wild stocks, still contributes to it further down the food chain. It's a vicious cycle.
So what's the innovative solution here? How do we break that cycle?
Well, one groundbreaking development involves entirely alternative feed sources. There's technology currently in pilot testing that uses microscopic fungi grown on industrial waste streams.
Wait, fungi grown on waste?
Yeah. Think about that for a second. Turning industrial byproducts into high-quality, sustainable fish feed.
Wow.
It's a brilliant example of circular economy principles tackling two major problems simultaneously: waste disposal and sustainable feed. If this scales, it could fundamentally alter the economics and sustainability of aquaculture feed globally. It's a potential game changer.
Turning waste into food, that's genuinely innovative. What other technological leaps are happening? Space saving, efficiency.
Another major area is optimizing space and maximizing efficiency, especially relevant in land-scarce regions or dense urban areas. We're seeing the emergence of concepts like vertical fish farms.
Vertical fish farms,
Yeah.
like growing fish in skyscrapers. That's hard to picture.
It is a bit, but the concept is powerful. Imagine an 8-story facility designed specifically for fish cultivation, maximizing production volume in a minimal footprint.
8 stories of fish.
Potentially, yeah. Projects like this are aiming for massive efficiency gains projections. Projections suggest they could be 6 times more productive per square meter than traditional systems in certain regions.
6 times more efficient per square meter. That's staggering. How do they achieve that kind of density and productivity?
It's through integrated advanced systems. One key element is sophisticated automatic water renewal and filtration.
The closed loops we talked about?
Exactly. Instead of needing constant fresh water influx, systems pump water out, run it through advanced filters that remove waste and pathogens, purify it, and recirculate it. This drastically reduces water usage and associated pumping and heating costs. Huge savings.
And you mentioned a precision inventory system. How does that work?
Yes, a real-time electronic inventory and management system. It tracks everything from water quality parameters to feed consumption, down to the gram.
Down to the gram.
Pretty much. This level of data allows operators from purchasing to technical staff to sales to have precise insights into conditions, stock health, and resource needs.
So data-driven decisions.
Exactly. This data-driven approach enables much better management, optimizes growth cycles, and allows for harvesting fish at precisely the right size and time for maximum market value.
That level of control makes sense for maximizing efficiency in a vertical system. But what about the fish themselves? Can technology monitor their well-being individually, like each fish?
This is perhaps the most revolutionary development we encountered. It's the use of artificial intelligence and machine learning to monitor the health and growth of each individual fish within a large farming system.
Each single fish. In a farm with thousands. That sounds incredibly complex to implement on a large scale.
It is, and it's still actively in the testing phase, but the potential is transformative. The idea is that as fish naturally surface perhaps for feeding or oxygen, they pass through sensing stations equipped with cameras and other data collection tools.
Okay.
These systems use AI algorithms to analyze data from that specific fish, estimating its weight, tracking its growth rate over time, and identifying potential health issues like parasites or sores. Real-time health checks.
So you're building a unique health and growth profile for tens of thousands of individual fish, like a Fitbit for fish.
Haha, sort of, precisely. The goal is multifaceted. Significantly improve fish welfare and health by catching problems early.
Early detection.
Right. Boost the farm's overall competitiveness by reducing losses. Potentially minimize the need for widespread treatments by identifying specific fish needing attention.
Targeted treatment.
Exactly.
Huh?
And ultimately, optimize the exact moment each fish is at peak market readiness for harvest.
Knowing the optimal harvest time for every fish must have a huge impact on profitability and sustainability. Less waste, better product.
It absolutely does. These systems are being tested on large commercial farms right now, managing populations of 150,000 salmon or more.
150,000 fish monitored individually.
That's the goal. The initial tests, which began a few years ago and are refining the algorithms through 2025, are focused on data collection and analysis, getting the AI right. The subsequent, more complex phase involves developing the robotic systems needed to act on that data, for example, automatically separating a specific fish for treatment or targeted harvesting based on its individual profile.
So diagnosis in action. Automated.
That's the vision.
It's clear that the future of aquaculture is deeply entwined with these kinds of advanced technological solutions. It's becoming very high-tech.
Completely. From turning waste into feed, to stacking production vertically, to monitoring every single organism with AI, these innovations are pushing the boundaries of what's possible in food production and resource management.
To see how these innovations and strategic planning come together, it's helpful to look at a real-world example. We found a compelling case study of a successful fish farming project in quite an unexpected location.
Right. This is the example of farming trout and salmon in a high-altitude, cold mountain region.
Mountains, not where you'd expect fish farms.
Exactly. It's not the first place you'd typically associate with aquaculture, but it demonstrates the power of combining the right technology with strategic vision.
So, how do they make it work in that challenging environment? What's the secret?
By leveraging advanced closed-system aquaculture. These are the kind of highly controlled recirculating environments we discussed earlier.
The RAS system.
Recirculating aquaculture systems, yeah. Using sophisticated cooling and filtration systems, they could precisely replicate the ideal water conditions required for these cold water species, like trout and salmon, overcoming the natural limitations of the mountain environment.
That's a perfect illustration of technology enabling production where it wouldn't otherwise be possible, creating the environment you need.
Exactly. And projects like this are being planned at significant scale, aiming for production volumes in the thousands of tons annually.
Thousands of tons from a mountain farm.
That's the plan. And they're often linked directly to broader national objectives, proving that aquaculture is not just commercially viable, but a strategic asset for achieving food security and economic diversification goals, even in challenging geographies.
It's inspiring to see how innovation, planning, and a clear vision are driving such significant projects. Real proof of concept.
It really underscores that aquaculture isn't just theory or a niche industry. It's a rapidly evolving high-tech field successfully contributing to critical global needs right now. It's happening.
So let's bring this all together for you, the listener. We started with the urgent global challenge, growing protein demand hitting the limits of wild fisheries.
A serious problem.
And identified aquaculture as the indispensable solution, highlighting its significant economic, environmental, and nutritional potential.
We then delved into the core fundamentals required for success, from mastering environmental control and health management,
The basics you gotta get right.
to rigorous business planning and operational execution, including the necessary infrastructure. It's complex.
We examined the compelling business case, backed by clear market data showing strong demand, government support, and substantial growth potential, confirming it as a highly profitable and sustainable investment area.
The money side looks good.
And we explored the truly exciting frontier of cutting-edge innovations that are transforming the field, sustainable feeds from waste.
Amazing stuff.
Hyper-efficient vertical farming, and the revolutionary concept of using AI for individual fish monitoring and optimization.
Really pushing the boundaries.
Finally, we saw a real-world example in a high-altitude region demonstrating how closed systems and technology enable successful, large-scale projects tied to national strategic goals.
Bringing it all together, this deep dive confirms that fishery farming is far more than just another industry. It is a dynamic, technology-driven project absolutely crucial for the future of our planet's food supply and economic resilience.
Yeah.
It's constantly innovating, constantly pushing the boundaries of what's possible in controlled food production.
Okay, so here's a final thought. Considering the incredible advancements we've discussed today, from recycling industrial waste into fish food to monitoring the health of individual fish with artificial intelligence, how quickly can these truly cutting-edge innovations move from pilot testing to widespread adoption across the global aquaculture industry?
That's the big question, isn't it? The speed of uptake.
And what will that mean for the variety, availability, and sustainability of the seafood we all enjoy in the coming years? It leaves you with a lot to think about regarding the future of your dinner plate.